It's Dr. Shirley. How are you? Nice to have you with us. Nice to have you with me. I'm really excited about today. We've got some new information, and today we're going to be talking all about your thyroid, all right? And you may have had your thyroid tested before. Most people get their thyroid tested if they've got a weight issue going on, right? And hey, Angela, good morning. And you know, a lot of times when our thyroid gets tested, it's actually still, considered to be normal, right? We're told, no, it's absolutely normal, there's no problem. But the problem is with some kind of, with these medical tests that go on, is that the value of what's normal is just really off the charts. And that's really what we're going to talk about. So it's nice to have you all today. Sally, John, Jessica, nice that you're here. You had a really nice night last night. Mark has been in Italy. My boyfriend Mark of many, many years has been in Italy, and he came home last night and he had some wonderful things with him. He had some cheeses. He had some Italian wine. He had some olives that he had brought home. He had all kinds of these treats and coffee this morning. And I'm just reminded about how good food tastes out of the country. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. The different qualities of foods, the cheeses, everything's so fresh because there's no antibiotics used. There's no hormones put into the food. The wine is unadulterated. So it's really a wonderful, wonderful situation. So I had a lovely night eating some good food. And a lot of times we, tend to say that the food in Europe is better, right? If you've ever eaten, you're like, oh, European food or French food is the best, Spanish food. But I think it's because there isn't any hormones in it and there isn't any garbage, that's in there. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why it tastes so darn good. So today, as I said, we're going to be talking about the thyroid. And our thyroid is a gland that is, really, it's kind of in a bib shape area, right around here, where your Adam's apple, would be. There's two lobes, they're butterfly shaped, and they actually release all of your hormones, and it controls your metabolism. So again, we have this huge obesity problem here in North America, and I really do think that so much is related, to the hormones, but not just the hormones that are in our body, but the hormones, again, that are inside the food. And so our thyroid controls how we breathe, and it controls our heart rate, it controls how we burn our body fat. It also controls the strength of our muscles, and our body temperature, as well as our cholesterol. So there's a lot of things that get controlled by the thyroid. So when it's out of whack, we're not going to feel good, number one, and I'll tell you all the symptoms that go along with that. And then number two, again, you're going to be holding on to a lot more weight than you need to. So the actual hormone means to stimulate. Okay, stimulate or excite. That's the Greek word for it. And there's chemicals that are produced, and they go throughout our body, and all of our hormones work together. There's actually a book that's very good called what's it called? The Hormone Symphony, and how everything, orchestrates and works very well together. And, what we do know that can slow the thyroid down are toxins, and we continue to talk about the toxins, but particularly mercury. I myself have a mouthful of mercury, from, back in I guess it was the 60s, getting all those fillings, and these can leach, into our body. So that's another good reason to do. I don't think we've talked about doing a heavy metal cleanse, but, I do that like once a year just to get those metals out, because I know they're in there. The other thing that can affect our thyroid is metals that we get that are in fish. So sometimes salmon, and sometimes tuna, and sometimes fish that are fattier can have more of these toxins inside them, and they stay inside our body, and then they start to affect how our thyroid is functioning. Good morning, Michael, Mel Farah. Good morning, Caitlin, Sandy. Nice group here today. The other thing that's going to slow our thyroid down and really kind of punish it is our stress. Okay, we talked about that in another video, and that was, we talked about our anxiety. And how our adrenal glands, remember those? Our adrenal glands are your teeny tiny glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they give off all of this cortisol and adrenaline on a continual basis. Well, this disrupts, since the adrenal glands give off hormones, this disrupts your thyroid as well too. And so when you have a lot of stress or anxiety in your life, you're going to tend to be heavier. All right. The other thing that's going to make you be heavier is if you're not sleeping well at night. So this whole idea of natural health is getting your body into balance. So A, you're of a good weight. B, you have a good amount of energy. C, you're sleeping really good at night, and D, hopefully, you don't have any pain along the way. The other thing that's going to affect our thyroid is inflammation. Now, inflammation, you hear all over the place, anti-inflammatory diet, or it's inflammation, but you know what? When your body is inflamed, your thyroid is going to weaken, okay, and you start to have a host of symptoms that I'll go over with you as well, too. And so this inflammation is brought on sometimes by acidity, and there's your body, you probably remember, gosh, what was it? might have been like 7th or 8th grade when we learned about alkalinity and pH balance, within the body. And so our pH balance, our body does a lot better. Cancer cells cannot grow in a body that is alkaline, okay? Things that make our body alkaline are fruits or vegetables, nuts, seeds, things that are raw, natural foods that have grown from the ground. This creates an alkaline environment. When our body's in an acidic state, and this comes from things that a lot of people have, coffee, which, I have some of that, alcohol, sugar, dairy, meat. These all cause our body to be in an acid state. And when our body's in an acid state, it gives off what's called acid ash. And when this happens, we have inflammation going on. And so the inflammation, throws off the whole body. So you can see how an acidic diet can also affect, what your weight is going to be like as well, too. The other thing, is that gut health. And we've talked about that a lot. You're hearing a lot about it. I mean, all of a sudden, everyone's got a gluten problem, right? Now, I know there's celiac, and that's a real deal. But all of a sudden, people can't eat gluten. It's just not being broken down correctly. And I think it's a lot because of the GMO that's been, we have GMO, wheat, all over the place. I mean, you go to France, you can eat all the bread you want, and no one's got any bloating and gassing and kind of, weird food reactions. So again, it's a quality of food here in the United States, and I'm hopeful that'll change. Although I never see anybody running for office. It's on this platform. I'm on the Naples Village board, but I don't impact a whole lot of people. Maybe a couple hundred. So some of the nutrients that are necessary for our thyroid are, number one is iodine, and you probably have heard this. Years ago, they used to use iodine tablets. But iodine can be found, in some good fishes. It's also very prevalent in seaweed. Now, you probably don't have a whole lot of seaweed, but it's one of the reasons that people in the Asian countries are a lot thinner. Okay, they're smaller bone or thinner. The obesity rate in Japan and in North Korea are some of the lightest that you'll ever see. I think the obesity rate in Japan is like 5 or maybe 3. North Korea, no, I think Japan is 3. I think North Korea is 5%. What are we, 70? Very interesting. So yes, they're also a lot more disciplined culture, and I'll just say that they just are. I know a lot about both of those countries, but there is seaweed in the diet, and the seaweed has a lot of your minerals in there. It also has a lot of iodine, and iodine is going to feed this thyroid here too. Another thing that's going to feed the thyroid is zinc, regular zinc, and a lot of people get low on zinc. When your zinc is low, you lose your sense of smell. Believe it or not, and you're also prone to having some immune system weakness too. Tyrosine, which is an amino acid, also feeds your thyroid, so it's real important to get your aminos in. I do a protein shake every morning that's got all my essential, non-essential amino acids and everything that's going to feed my body completely. And what I like to do is with all of my nutrients, like we talked the other day, what are your weak points in your body and what are you looking to accomplish? But by getting in all of the vitamins and all the minerals and make sure they're absorbed, you're going to really go a long ways to preventing disease. And that's the whole idea behind this, okay? Thanks for joining us, you guys. It's nice to have you with us. Hey, Caesar. Hey, Dr. Joe. Nice to see you. Hey, Bishard. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If you guys want to, just give me a shout of where you're from, I'd love to give you a shout out as well, too. We're building a nice audience with this, and that's wonderful. The other thing that we need are vitamin D, okay? You hear a lot about vitamin D as well, too. Your D3 is great. The best way to get your D3 is from the sun, okay? That is the best way to get it. I'm going to do a whole class on the sunscreen thing and all that. I'm just not down for it. I'm just not. Good natural sunscreen, yes, but most of them have triclosan in there, and the triclosan is cancer causing. And I always get concerned. You see people slathering it all over their babies, and like, oh my goodness, it's not a good way to go. But I'll educate you on that so you can pick a good sunscreen, because the sun is good, especially when it gets in through our eyes. And a lot of people wear sunglasses that have this UV protection, but when that happens, then the vitamin D actually can't absorb. Our vitamin D absorbs best through our skin, so even taking a sun bath of 20 minutes a day is going to give you more than enough vitamin D that you have. Our omegos are important. Those are your good fatty acids. Foods that are good are going to be, like strawberries, potatoes, yogurt. Those are all, good sources that will feed your thyroid gland as well, too. So there's about 59 million people at last, give or take, million probably, that do have a sluggish thyroid. And again, as I said when we first started, most people don't even know that their thyroid is sluggish, because we go get it tested and the doc says, no, you're normal. Well, what if you're up here? And what if really the gate of what was normal was down here? And so much of this has happened, due to our environment. Now, you may have what's called a hypothyroid, and hypothyroid means that your thyroid is not functioning as good as it can. Hyperthyroid would mean maybe someone is tall, thin, hyper, literally fast moving, and then you'll find when the thyroid has gotten weakened that you may actually feel weak yourself. You may feel tired. You may see it in your hair. Your hair may be dry and really super coarse. That's one of the main things. You may have problems with your short-term memory. You may have actually like brain fog if you've never had that before, and I actually haven't had it, so I'm just going to try to describe it, but I have had clients and some friends over the years that have had this spaciness, and candida can cause that. Parasites can cause that, but then also the low thyroid can cause that as well too. You may have some joint pain, like almost like a fibromyalgia. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of naturopathy. I'm a certified herbalist, yoga, health and wellness counselor. I've got 30 years of all this, but I'm never here to diagnose. I'm never here to treat. That's not my deal. But I'm trying to tell you some natural ways that you can keep your body healthy, and also to answer some questions, because there's nothing worse than going to the doc and saying, I don't feel good, and you go like, well, we'll take some blood. That's cool. And they're like, nope, everything's normal. Like, I'm not normal. I don't feel good. I feel like crap. And, and like, well, and then maybe you're trotting off to see the specialist. But if you start with yourself and the quality of food that you're eating and your environment, finding work that you love, working on your relationships that mean something to you, taking supplements preventatively, maybe doing some mind work, whether that's prayer, meditation, some yoga, time for self-care. This is what makes a body healthy, okay? You can take all the supplements in the world and all the green drinks in the world, but if you really dislike your job, you can't stand your partner, and you're bored silly, or you're lonely, you're going to have a hard time being healthy, okay? But this becomes our responsibility to take those steps. And it's not always pretty during the self-discovery process, but as we do more and more for ourselves, our health increases and our joy increases as well too. All right. Other thing that can go on is you can feel cold, and this can be, really bothersome. It's not necessarily like a Raynaud's, but like when other people are comfortable, you're feeling chilly, you're feeling, cold. You may also have, moods. You may be moody. You may be, like kind of quick to anger, and then easily frustrated, and then kind of, just be a little bit, melancholic. And you'll have a low sex drive, and that's not good for any relationship. It just isn't. I'm not an expert on, relationships. I do have a, minor in psychology, but I do know when that glue isn't there, there's usually one, if that's not going on, there's usually one partner, at least, that's unhappy. There's, and this can, lead to problems down the road as well too. And I understand, I'm going to teach a class actually Friday on women's health and sexuality and how to raise your libido, because again, I feel very strongly about that, within relationship and for our overall health. Okay. Now, one of the things that you can do is to cleanse your body fat, all right, and to get some of these toxins out. In a couple minutes, I'm going to talk about endocrine disruptors, and endocrine disruptors are those that actually change your whole, endocrine system, within your body. But one of the things that you can do is to cleanse your body fat cells. If you want to know more about that, there's a video I did, I believe, a week and a half ago. All my videos are on my page, but then you also, I have a lot of my videos on YouTube, as well too. So you want to clean your fat cells, get the toxins out of your body. You want to cleanse your liver and your kidney and your bowel. I talked a lot about that yesterday if you want to listen to that. And when you cleanse out those toxins, you are going to be amazed at how your metabolism changes, because we're holding on to a lot of fat because of the toxins. And then again, these endocrine disruptors, which are, a different type of a toxin, are affecting your thyroid. And so then you're gaining weight. And even if you manage to stay like super, super disciplined and, you lose some weight, but you're, oh my gosh, I've done this before, where you're just dieting with all of your might and all of your willpower, and then as soon as you stop, the weight comes back. Well, a lot of the reasons that the weight comes back is because the fat has to protect those cells, all right? So it actually, more fat will glob on there for you. You're going to have to balance your gut health, and this is just imperative if you want to achieve good health. You're going to have to get in, some of those good probiotics. I'm taking some of the collagen supplements from Dr. Axe, and I'm really feeling a difference with that, in a lot of different ways. So that also helps to balance the gut. And I probably should just teach a whole class on the gut, and I may do that. You also want to, obviously get moving, because, any kind of exercise, whether it's walking, whether it's Zumba, whether it's gardening, any kind of movement on a continual basis is going to move those toxins out. It actually moves our lymphatic system. And our lymphatic system, when the cells detoxify, to put it simply, the junk goes right into our lymphatic system. And our lymph system follows our veins throughout our body. And if somebody has like swollen glands, or, lymphatic, a lymphedema, that's like a swelling like around the breast. But this is where all of our toxins go. And so if we don't get them out, then our body's like a garbage dump. Okay. And so the only way, well, there's 3 ways to move that lymph, and that is through exercise, that is through massage, and then skin brushing. Okay. And in that skin brushing is when we actually use like a loofah sponge and brush towards our heart. Okay. That's one of the things that's going to get that lymphatic system. It's a great thing to do if someone is infirm, like meaning in a wheelchair or not able to move, is to get some of that movement. So by getting those toxins out of our body, and then I learned when I was in India that we can release toxins through breathing, through what's called pranayama, if you want to check that out. And that's a specific way of breathing to actually, to remove some toxins. So toxins are the underlying key, and our planet and our lives are pretty much polluted. So just count on it that you're toxic. I probably cleanse, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, maybe more times a year. I cleanse if I'm traveling. I cleanse if I, dye my hair. I cleanse if I'm feeling sluggish. I cleanse if I'm, getting moody at all. I mean, you're just amazed as this stuff starts to come out. Now, another thing that really affects the thyroid is progesterone. We women, as we get over the age of 40, sometimes like late 30s, our progesterone starts to drop, which makes sense because progesterone is there to hook up and help to hold an embryo, okay, a sperm and an egg that attaches itself to the uterine wall. The progesterone helps to keep it there, all right? And so as we get older and into our 40s, most of us aren't conceiving, some still can, but that progesterone starts to drop. Well, progesterone also feeds the thyroid, and I'm going to talk about this more in detail, about all the many benefits of bioidentical, which is naturally occurring progesterone. And I'm going to do one on men's health as well too. But if you're over 40, and you want to know about getting good, and I'm not talking about the hormone replacement therapy, that you can read about that, and you would probably never say yes to it like our moms did at some point. But anyway, that has a huge effect. Whenever I feel myself even like gaining a couple pounds, I'm like, oh, do I need some more progesterone? And so I've kept up on that for probably about 12 years or so. The other thing we want to do is to actually reduce our inflammation. And oh, thank you, Herb. My cousin Herb says I'm a natural. I'm a gabber, that's for sure. And I have so many things in my head, and so everything just keeps flying out. I'm having a lot of fun with this. We have to reduce the plastics in our life too. I was having this conversation with Mark last night, and we were talking about just coffee, right? We had this wonderful coffee, and I have coffee from all over the world. I just really enjoy it. And we're talking about Keurigs, okay? And we're talking about like why do people why would you have a Keurig? And I'm sorry if you have one and you might feel insulted. And I don't mean anything personally, but I'm just wondering why. And so we started talking about, of course, the waste and in the dumps, and we started talking about the cost, and we started talking about how big it is on the counter. And then Mark had this thought that I thought was really interesting. He goes, Shirley, not only that, it's packaged in plastic, which I'm sure is BPA, which we'll talk about. So the plastics, the coffee's probably really old, right? It's sitting in plastic, the plastic's leaching into there, and then this is going into your body every day like a slow drip, okay? So put your Keurig on eBay. That's my advice for the day. Try a French press. Mark bought me home a beautiful coffee maker from Italy, and you actually put it on the stove. It's this little baby thing you make with espresso, and it's a big metal thing. It's really cool ways. I'm really big on French press and good coffee, though. So let's talk about endocrine disruptors, why we're talking about this. Endocrine disruptors interfere with the development and the production of the body. It can block the normal signals within all of those hormones that go through our body, including the ones that go to our thyroid. And this can happen on a daily basis. We can be exposed to endocrine disruptors almost every single day. And they're linked to some very important things. So endocrine disruptors linked to cancer, breast cancer in women, and prostate cancer in men. Very, very much attributed to learning disabilities. Now you think about all the kids that are ADHD. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not real, and a lot of it's food related, and maybe I'll talk about that someday. But back when I was a kid, maybe 1 or 2 kids had ants in their pants, right? And then when my kids in school, all of a sudden, everyone's trotting down to the nurse's office, to get their medications. And, so I got to wonder, is this because of all the garbage that's been in the environment that our little ones in parts per million are being affected, even more than we are? It can lead to deformities. Okay. So women, that are pregnant, this can lead to deformities. It can lead to, breakdown in the brain and the thoughts. I don't know if this is related to Alzheimer's. It makes me think like it's possible that it is. But the biggest thing is the cancers that can happen within the body. Our personal care products are full of something called phthalates. Okay. And these actually can affect a sperm count. They're in our shampoos, in our conditioners, they're in your cosmetics. All right. None of that stuff has to be labeled, thanks to some chemical lobby that said, oh no, we shouldn't have to label that, right? Well, maybe you do. Maybe it should be labeled, but it's not. So, get something of good quality. And as I said, I did a whole video on how to clean your house out. Doesn't mean you go out today and you throw everything out, but start bit by bit. Buy yourself some good shampoo. Buy a good soap, okay? Remember that Coast soap or some of that's non-deodorant soap? That's all chemicals. Just get some real soap. That's all. There's so many beautiful soap stores around. Also, too, toothpaste has that same. Some toothpaste has this trixalan. I'm saying all these chemicals. I'm having a hard time pronouncing, but this particular ingredient is also linked, to different cancers and lower immunity. So buy a good toothpaste. I used to buy from Melaleuca for years. Tom's toothpaste. They have some nice toothpaste at Trader Joe's. So next time you're out, throw out the crest, throw out the other stuff. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that, but I don't know. I remember my kids going to the dentist, and I said this one other time. They got either give little free samples. It's turquoise, right? It's got glitter in it. Okay, so I want plastic pieces of glitter in my kid's mouth to help them brush. No, I don't. I don't want that at all. So that's a big deal. The other thing is canned food. Now, maybe you don't eat too much canned food, but if you do, most canned foods are lined with this BPA. Okay, and the BPA has been shown to create an early puberty in both boys and girls. It's been shown to increase obesity, decrease your immune system function, increase aggression in moods, and decrease your brain capacity, your memory and your focus and your concentration. So think about these BPAs like we just talked about in the Keurig. Those water bottles, you don't need to buy a water bottle. Good morning. Hi, how are you, Marilyn? Nice to see you. And Eddie. Get yourself a nice water bottle. We use one called Zojirushi. Okay, it's Japanese. Mark's like a Japanese nut. He just feels like they're a superior race and they've got everything down. So we have a Japanese rice maker. We got Japanese water bottles. It's really kind of funny. But this Zojirushi, and I don't even know how to spell it. I think it does start with a Z, but check it on Amazon. It's the best thing in the world. But think about how you would be contributing to plastics if you just had a really good quality water bottle, because those plastics leach in. And another thing is, let's say the bottling plant is out in California. Let's say that's got to be shipped here to upstate New York. And as it comes across the country, there's people, they're at the rest stop and they're in Arizona and, they're out, in the hot Southwest there. And when these plastics get hot, they leach, and then they leach into the water. So you think you're drinking good water, which is it better than a Pepsi? I don't know, because of all the chemicals that are in there. And the softer the plastic, when you pick up those bottles and they can crinkle like that, those are the worst kind. See, the harder, and I can't remember the number. I think the higher the number, the harder the plastic. If anyone knows, correct me here, but there's little numbers on the bottom, and so like a low level is like 1, 2, or 3, and higher levels are harder plastics, and those don't leach quite as much. The other thing that can cause our endocrine system to be disrupted is the hormones that are in your meats, that are in your chicken, and also hormones, antibiotics that can be put into the fish. Farmed fish, we talked about this before. You really don't want to eat farm fish. I mean, really, fish don't grow on a farm. Why do we want this? They put antibiotics in there. They're all living and eating like in this aquarium where they're all on top of each other. It's just a sick thing. Overseas, you don't see the antibiotics going into the chicken. You wonder why we have these big chicken breasts, right? I mean, what's up with that? It's like, as Americans, we don't want to see like real, chickens hanging. So you got the breast cut out. They're in these little plastic things. Again, right? Plastic sitting in our meats and plastic on top of the hormones. And you know what? There's also the growth hormone in there. I'm going to just touch on this. The meat that it's called human growth hormone. Okay, I'm sorry, bovine, not human. Bovine growth hormone, BGH. And BGH is meant to make cows fatter. So think about this from a business. You own a cow and the cow weighs 200 pounds, right? And if you take it to market, you're going to get X amount per pound. Well, let's say you made that cow fatter and it weighed 250 pounds. So if it weighed 250, you're going to make a lot more money. So that's where a lot of this started. It was money driven. And so these bovine growth hormones that we take in by the chicken through the meats go into our body. They make us fatter too, okay? So, cut that stuff out. It's not even worth having. It's just not, because of the endocrine disruptors and the disease factor, but also the fact that it's making you fatter too. Now, if you like meat, and I do eat meat right now. I've gone periods being vegetarian, but right now I'm eating meat. You want to get grass-fed. All right, and you want to get no antibiotic. Wegmans, which is in the Northeast, is like voted the #1 supermarket. I think it surpassed Trader Joe's, and just amazing. And they have something called Food You Feel Good About, which means there's no antibiotics and there's no hormones. So think about some of those choices. Right now, do some of these things cost a little bit more? Yeah, they cost a little bit more. Are they worth it? Absolutely. Make up for it, somewhere else. Thanks, Marilyn. I appreciate that. Hey, Deb, nice to see you. Deb Veely, she's a health professional, that's for sure. She knows so much. The other thing we want to think about is our cleaning products. Again, I talked about this in length the other day, but particular products that are that clean your floors, your toilets, and your ovens and your windows. Ever see that oven cleaner? Holy cow, okay? This is something, and I don't even know if I can pronounce it, so excuse me while I look away. Non-phenyl elixylate, okay? It is banned in Europe and is a potent disruptor of your whole endocrine system, all right? So think about, whether you're just using soap, whether you're using vinegar. A lot of these things have been around forever. We don't have to disinfect everything. We don't have to use antibacterial soaps. I mean, germs aren't really going to, kill you that way. So you think about some of the home remedies, and I know a lot of people are bringing those back. This may be a new one for me. I actually forgot about it till I read when I was doing some research. Do you know that on cash register receipts, there is a film on cash register receipts that is an endocrine disruptor? I read a lot about it. I couldn't even believe it. I remembered it from before because I remember they'd say, oh, you want your receipt? I'm like, no, it's okay. And so you really don't want to touch these things. And when they get wet from sweat, it absorbs into your skin within 5 seconds, okay? So if you don't need the receipt, don't take it. The other thing is it transfers. All of these, these chemicals that are on there will transfer onto your dollars or $100 or whatever you got in your hand. And so when you've got them in your pocket, they transfer onto your money, and and they found money, and just about every piece of money has some of these chemicals on here that are these endocrine disruptors. Transfers very, very easily. Okay, so these are just some of the things that you can really switch out in your life. Now, when you want to work on on your thyroid, we went through a lot of the things that you can do. There are also some really good herbal products that do that. Mark, even though he's not overweight at all, he does have a weak thyroid, and it was kind of cool. Mark's still a medical guy, which is fine. Meaning he goes for his physical every year, and he's in excellent health. So the last time he went, which was about a year ago, he said that your thyroid's off, and he was feeling tired, and his hair is a little bit coarse, and he had gained some weight that winter, and we had the numbers anyway, and they said that it was low, and I said, listen, just give me 90 days here. Give me 90 days with an herbal program. You're not going to fall apart. He's like, okay, fine. So we put him on some kelp. I put him on a thyroid stimulator and a thyroid glandular. Okay, those are the three things. I kind of alternated those three products. Also used some alfalfa. Hey, Vicki, nice to see you. There's another herbalist right there. Hey, Vinny, nice to see you too. I put him on these products, okay, for 90 days. He goes back and gets a blood test. The doctor's like, well done. What did you do? And Mark's like, he's not even sure what he did because I just put a pile out for him in the morning and he takes his stuff, which is great because I want him healthy through the years. So there's a lot of natural products that can really work. There's a lot of things that you can do to make yourself healthier. There's a lot of products you can start to clean out of your home one by one. Don't go nuts. I did have a client do that once. She came to my class, and my certified herbalist class, and I started talking about all of these environment toxins in the home, and she went through and cleared out everything. The family's flipping out. The kids are like, Mom, you're crazy, and who's that Picaretta lady? You're crazy. But I don't know that everyone's going to do that, but bit by bit, just try to start switching some of the stuff out for better quality. And now all this stuff, all these cleaning products are a lot. They're easy, well priced. If something, just think about it. If something's blue, there's blue dye in it. If something's yellow, there's yellow dye in it. These things don't happen, just out of nowhere. They just don't. So any of these dyes are also carcinogenic, and they are also endocrine disruptor too. Yeah, I remember many years ago, and I'll just finish up here. My daughter, even at the age of 6, she's reading labels, and I told the girls the ladies at the brownie class, would you mind just bringing in chocolates? I don't want my kid having any dyes, any colors, or this or that. And they're like, okay, so they bring in ho-hos, and I'm like, not the best thing in the world, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And I come back and my daughter's like, I don't have any snack. I'm like, why? She goes, there's red dye in the ho-hos. I'm like, what? But she had read the label. Must have been to make the chocolate, or I don't know. But you got to look at this stuff. There's red dye and white shaving cream. Okay, so think about the stuff you put on your face. So that's pretty much it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sorry I don't have my book in front of me. I cannot remember. Oh, I know, 8 ways to whittle your waist this week. And we're going to talk about ways to just shape your waist down in 1 week period of concentrated effort. And I'll give you the exact plan on that. So we'll do that tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And if there's anything I can help you with, please just send me a message. I'm happy to give any advice. I mean, if you want a full consultation for an hour, I do that for $50. That's a consultation. That's a plan, a health history, your desires, what you want to achieve. I've done this stuff for 30 years. I'm really good at getting people healthy, but I'm happy to answer any questions or have a conversation. There's no charge for that at all. And if you feel like you want to learn a lot, I have my certified herbalist class that's always going on, and you can take that online and you become a health advocate yourself. And I thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're here with us, if you could just put up some likes or put up something you liked about the class, something that you learned today, I'd appreciate that. This just helps other people to feel engaged, to feel like they may be learning something too. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Have a great day. Bye now.